Bring the meeting to order. I'm going to do a roll call at this time. I know the Mayor Pro Tem is on his way in. Councilmember Reinbark, are you here? Yes. Councilmember Spears, are you here?
I am here.
Councilmember Waddell, are you here? Councilmember Andrews, are you here?
Here.
Councilmember Jordan, are you here?
Here.
And the chair is here. We'll start off with consent agenda C1, approval of the minutes. C2 is a resolution authorizing a new lease on the 7th floor of the Skyline Center to Sinply Incorporated. C3 is a resolution authorizing a contract for municipal golf course maintenance equipment with Smith Turf and Irrigation LLC of Charlotte, North Carolina, with a lease period through PNC Equipment Finance LLC of Cincinnati, Ohio, for a total cost of $696,075. C4 is a resolution authorizing the city manager to renew a one-year agreement with Smart Sheet Incorporated for $105,840. C5 is a resolution authorizing the third amendment to an interlocal agreement with New Hanover County for the creation of a public transportation authority and a jointly fund and support the authority. Public information, public hearings. PH1 is an ordinance amending the official zoning maps of the city of Wilmington to rezone property containing 4.08 acres located at 2929 Market Street from O&I Office and Institution to MD17 CD High Density Multi-Dwelling Conditional District for a 120-unit workforce housing residential development, and this was continued from our September 9th meeting. PH2 is an ordinance amending the official zoning maps of the city to rezone property containing 0.77 acres located at 5320 and 5322 Wrightsville Avenue from R15 Moderate Density Single Dwelling District to R5 CD Medium Density Mixed Residential Conditional District for residential development, continued also from our September the 9th meeting. PH3 is an ordinance directing the housing inspector to vacate, close, and repair or demolish the dwelling at 115 Giles Avenue as unfit for human habitation pursuant to Article 5, Chapter 16 of the City Code, and directing that a notice be placed thereon prohibiting its use or occupancy. And PH4 is an ordinance directing the housing inspector to vacate, close, and repair or demolish the dwelling at 1308 Queen Street is unfit for human habitation pursuant to Article 5, Chapter 16 of the City Code, and directing that a notice be placed thereon prohibiting its use or occupancy. PH5 is a public hearing required by the U.S. Housing and Urban Development on the City of Wilmington's 2025 Consolidated Annual Performance and Evaluation Report, better known as CAPER. Ordinances 01 is an ordinance adding Section 6-10, certain actions prohibited on city property, to Chapter 6, Article 1 of the City Code. This is going to be heard on a second reading. And 02 is an ordinance amending the 2026 adopted authorized strength in the general fund to support a social worker co-responder model. And 03 is an ordinance authorizing the establishment of a social district in the Brooklyn Arts District pursuant to North Carolina General Statute 160A-205.4. 04A is an ordinance appropriating $1,054,734 for the Hooker Road MUP, Hinton Avenue MUP, and Wrightsville Avenue / Greenville Avenue intersection improvement projects in the Streets and Sidewalks Capital Projects Fund. And then 04B is a resolution authorizing the award of a construction contract in the amount of $4,297,914 to Wells Brothers Construction Company Incorporated for the Hooker Road multi-use path and Hinton Avenue multi-use path and Wrightsville Avenue / Greenville Avenue intersection improvement projects. 05A is an ordinance making an appropriation in the amount of $3,848,752 for the Dawson and Wooster Street Streetscape Improvements Project. And then 05B is a resolution awarding a construction contract in the amount of $5,762,423 to Highland Paving Company, LLC for the Transportation Bond Project, Dawson / Wooster Street Streetscape Improvements. And then 06A is a resolution adopting a Vision Zero policy. And then 06B is an ordinance amending the 2026 adopted authorized strength in the general fund for the Vision Zero Traffic Safety Program. 06C is a resolution accepting the City of Wilmington Traffic Engineering Division's Traffic Calming Speed Hump Quick Response Project Plan. And then resolution authorizing the city manager to enter into an agreement with Blue Ridge Atlantic Development LLC, better known as Brad Apex on Market LLC, for the gap financing for a new affordable multi-dwelling development utilizing $1 million of the general fund committed affordable housing fund. And that, I believe, concludes this portion of the agenda. The items brought forward by city council members. Not, I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Hawk. Ms. Hawk.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of council. We have two presentations this morning. The first of them is Jenna Worth from Voyage. We'll be talking about the summer employment program outcomes, if she is here. Okay, we will get her rescheduled. So next will be a Vision Zero presentation by Planning Director Linda Painter, and I believe Dave Cowell, Engineering Director, may be assisting with that.
Good morning, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, and members of council. I'm pleased to be before you this morning to present a new concept for you to consider called Vision Zero. So I'm going to walk you through what Vision Zero is, give you some examples of action plans that other communities have adopted, and also talk about how we can move on from here. But our ultimate goal, if you agree, is to create a new Vision Zero program to eliminate traffic-related fatalities and serious injuries. So what is Vision Zero? Vision Zero is a new way of thinking, or a change in the way we think about how we approach traffic safety. Each year, more than 42,000 people are killed in traffic-related collisions in the United States. Since January 2025, 9 people have been killed in Wilmington. 6 of those were pedestrians and 1 bicyclist. Vision Zero is the idea that it doesn't have to be this way, that instead of looking at traffic deaths being inevitable, we approach it as traffic deaths being preventable. This slide shows you the opening pages to Durham's Vision Zero action plan. And what's notable here is again, they take this concept of saying we do not have to see serious injuries and fatalities in traffic accidents. Excuse me. And what they identified is all of the people who perished in traffic accidents in Durham between 2017 and 2023, which I think is a very powerful way to identify the change that we're trying to make. So as we shift our approach and our mindset, what we are looking at is the problem is not accidents themselves, but fatalities and serious injuries. We are also looking at that this is something that is preventable, but that we need to look at everyone in the system, and that includes us as policymakers, as people who design roads, as well as the individual road users and in the culture in terms of how they are driving. So this is moving towards what's called a safe system approach. So everyone plays a role in this. It's not just about the individual driver being responsible for an accident. We look at everyone, and we look at multiple ways where we can intercede to prevent an accident from happening. We understand and we accept that everyone will make errors, so the system needs to be forgiving, that we need to design our roadways not only to prevent crashes, but to also reduce harm when crashes occur. And that when we have we understand and acknowledge that when we have lower speeds, we have better reaction time and fewer deadly crashes. So for example, this is an image from the Tacoma, Washington Vision Zero Action Plan, which really highlights when we talk about safer people, we're talking about the most vulnerable road users. So those are pedestrians, bicyclists, motorcyclists. And while they represent a fairly small percentage of those who are involved in traffic accidents every year, they are disproportionately represented in those who suffer serious injuries and fatalities as a result of those accidents. Safer vehicles is really something that is outside of our local control, but it is an important component of a safer system. So if you think about the technologies that are continually being added to vehicles in terms of blind spot assistance, automatically braking if you're not braking quickly enough, things like that also make it safer for everyone. When we talk about safer speeds, one of the first things we need to realize is that the faster we're going, the less we are able to see as drivers. And so this graphic illustrates how much your cone of vision reduces as you increase from 15 miles per hour to 30 miles per hour in terms of what you as a driver are able to take in on the roadway. We also know that safer speeds, particularly when it comes to pedestrians, are critical in terms of their survival rate. At 20 miles per hour, a pedestrian has a 95% chance for surviving. At 40 miles per hour, that decreases to 15%. We also know that the way we design our roads will ultimately influence behavior. So we need to look at designs that are going to reduce human error, promote safety, and protect vulnerable road users. And then last but not least, we also need to think about what happens after an accident occurs and how we protect those first responders and make sure that they are being able to do the life-saving work that they need to do, that ambulances can quickly get to the hospital for those who are injured. Ultimately, it comes down to kind of a Swiss cheese approach. If you look at each of those 5 elements, if one fails, you are preventing that death. Every single one of those has to fail under this concept in order to get to the point where you have death and serious injuries. So ultimately, the idea is that safe systems equal safe mobility. And this is where we really do have a big shift, because what we are saying here is that we are going to prioritize human life over ease of movement for motor vehicles. So what does that mean in terms of a concrete reality? Examples could be instituting no right turn on red at certain intersections where we know that there's a history of traffic collisions with pedestrians. It can look at slower speeds, not only instituting but enforcing them in key areas. So one of the things you will be asked to do tomorrow evening is to direct the city manager to create a Vision Zero task force, and for that task force to develop a Vision Zero action plan. These action plans are broad, they are general, and as you can see, several municipalities in North Carolina have already taken this step. There is relatively little mention of specific locations. We're not talking about saying, okay, at the intersection of College and Oleander, here is what we propose to do. This is about recognizing the specific data, looking at where the crashes are occurring, what is contributing to the crashes, and identifying broad strategies to address them. This example from Charlotte also set benchmarks of what they were going to do every 5 years. So examples were construct new or improved pedestrian crossings at 25 independent locations annually, or study the top 5 high injury network corridors. Recommendations on these plans are broad. Again, they range from education. In one case, there was a community that shared traffic safety updates and highlighted resident impacts to help change the culture of driving. There was another one that promoted Vision Zero awareness in high schools, including accident reenactments to increase awareness of risky behaviors for young drivers. They can be policy, updating land use and zoning to reduce vehicle miles traveled and prioritize safety. It can be administrative, committing funding and staffing to implementing those Vision Zero objectives. It can also be evaluation, so doing those corridor plans to identify specific recommendations for high injury network corridors. And when you look at the corridor studies that they've identified in these plans, they typically have looked at corridors that have already been studied. So they did not do a new corridor study to do this plan. They have identified places where they either have high injuries and need to do further study, or recommended implementing the corridor studies that are already in place. So one question you may have is this possible? Can we reduce and can we eliminate traffic fatalities and serious injuries? And the answer is yes. The city of Hoboken, New Jersey, has had 0 traffic fatalities since 2017. Additionally, in 1 year, from 2022 to 2023, they saw significant reductions in pedestrians, bicyclists, and vehicle occupants that were seriously injured in traffic collisions. And they were able to do it through policy measures and through pilots and quick builds and other small measures. The City of Austin, again, turning to that data-driven analysis, found that 12% of their fatalities were happening through opposite direction left turns. So they implemented low-cost solutions at 18 intersections across the city to see if that would help and reduce those impacts. And so the chart you see on the screen show you the reductions in yellow at those intersections where they installed flashing yellow arrows or protected left turn phasing, signal head and signage upgrades, versus the reductions that they saw at other signalized intersections. And you can see a much greater reduction in terms of injuries and fatal crashes where those pilot measures were installed. Communities have also looked at their neighborhood streets. While most of our high injury networks in Wilmington, like most cities, are on major roadways, which in Wilmington's case are state roads, Cleveland, Ohio also looked at the use of traffic calming measures in neighborhoods, and they did this over about a year period, and they installed speed tables in several locations. And so the charts you see on the screen are what they saw, the reductions they saw both in terms of speeding and crash history in those locations, which was enough to make them say they were going to remove the modular and portable speed tables they installed and convert to a permanent installation and expand to additional streets. The good news is that we're not starting from scratch. We are already doing things. We already have data. We know, generally speaking, where our problem areas are. The slide on your screen to the left shows you the locations of all fatal accidents, with pink and purple being the highest intensity. Pedestrian fatal reports are in the middle, and bicyclists are on the right side. And you can see a lot of overlap in terms of where that's occurring between those three areas. We also have the 2023 Walk Wilmington Plan, which identified high injury network corridors, gave us corridor profiles, and also recommended specific interventions on those corridors. The WMPO is currently in the middle of a Safe Streets for All, a safety action plan, which, like Vision Zero, is modeled on the safe systems approach I described earlier. And we also have our 5-year strategic plan, which has multiple strategies and objectives that are targeted towards improving safety on our streets. In terms of education, we have the WMPO Go Coast Be a Looker program, which does encourage people to look out for bicyclists and pedestrians. And the Wilmington Police Department has a Getting You There Safe pedestrian crossing video. And this is just 2 of many resources that exist. And it's also the things that we do every day. In the last year, our traffic engineering division has installed 11 traffic signals, or the last 5 years, I should say, installed 11 traffic signals, implemented 69 leading pedestrian intervals at intersections, and added over 800 streetlights to the network. In addition to that, you have several large projects that are on your agenda for approval tomorrow evening, including the Hooker-Hinton multi-use trail and the Dawson-Wooster streetscape project, all of which will help address pedestrian safety concerns as well. So in terms of next steps, what we are asking tomorrow evening is that you adopt a resolution that sets a goal of eliminating traffic fatalities and serious injuries by 2036. That same resolution directs the city manager to appoint a task force within 30 days, directs development of the Vision Zero action plan, and directs the traffic engineer to undertake projects while the plan is being developed. The resolution also includes adopting the Vision Zero policy, which outlines the duties and responsibilities of the task force, sets minimum requirements for community engagement during the plan development portion of the project, identifies reporting so that we can be transparent and show what we are doing and if it's working, and also sets policies for a neighborhood traffic calming program that would be ongoing before the plan is adopted and then also after it is adopted. It is also asking you for resources to establish a transportation and mobility planner position and a transportation project engineer position to staff the Vision Zero program and help get this moving. And last but not least, the other item on your agenda identifies 7 quick response locations for traffic engineering to install traffic calming. And in terms of the actual timeline to do the Vision Zero project or the initial steps of the initiative, we are looking at completing the action plan by winter of 2027 to bring it back to you. And so you have the basic 5 phases of that on your screen in terms of what we are projecting. If you adopt the resolution and policy and approve the positions, we will immediately begin creating the community engagement strategy and starting the data collection that is the foundation for the Vision Zero action plan. And the other question I'm sure you have, how do we pay for it? There are 2 basic sources of funding that we'll be looking at. One is the motor vehicle license fees, which can be used to maintain, repair, construct, widen, and improve city-owned and maintained streets. We understand that those cannot be used on roadways that are part of the state highway system, so we will be pursuing grants and other partner opportunities to leverage those funds, and also working with NCDOT on state roadways to address safety concerns on their roads. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Dennis Volkanowicz, our city traffic engineer, who is going to go through the proposed neighborhood traffic calming locations.
Can I have just a quick question? So back a couple slides to how we're going to pay for it. So none of the projects that we don't anticipate any of the projects that may come forward from this Vision Zero, if it were to be adopted, to be funded out of anything other than this. It wouldn't be included in CIP.
It could be. So this is the main source, but I would say you'll also have department operating funds. So for example, things like stop bars, crosswalks, those are handled in the regular department operating funds, and then larger projects would likely be a CIP project. But
Yeah, I mean, our CIP is stretched pretty daggone thin. We took a hatchet to it last year.
Yes.
And so if we're looking at adding a bunch more projects from this Vision Zero policy, which, I mean, sounds great, beautiful words, but I mean, I'm looking at some other cities. Charlotte has spent $10.5 million on projects, and internal audit's got a lot of gaps in their projects, and it's just basically increased bureaucracy and increased fatalities ultimately. So I mean, I'm certainly supportive of the idea. Mm-hmm. I don't want to rush headlong into it, and I have a litany of questions that I'm not prepared to ask today, but I'll be happy to bring tomorrow. But I mean, this is coming at us really, really fast.
If I'm happy to step in, Councilmember Waddell. Looking at the slide about how to pay for it, the main focus here is to understand the system's needs as far as right now, if you have sort of a scattershot approach and you're looking at everything in a vacuum, it's difficult to know where to prioritize your money, where the highest needs actually are, and how to solve for them. But the great thing about Vision Zero is that it really does prioritize low-cost initiatives that you can implement quickly. So sometimes that is paint on pavement, that is temporary barriers, that can be planters in a roadway. It can be chicanes, which aren't necessarily pretty when they're implemented on a temporary basis, but it gets the traffic to slow down. It's adding crosswalks, retiming signals. And so all of those things, when you look at the dollars on the screen, those are very, very low-cost projects that would not require CIP usage. The idea behind Vision Zero is proof of concept. So get the traffic to slow down because people are out there right now walking and biking. And so we want to make sure that it's as safe as possible for them in the short term. Have proof of concept in the projects that you implement so that you know if you are going to be investing in hardscape that you have the data to support that it did in fact slow down traffic the way that you need, or it did make the roadway safer. And only then might you be looking at something that is a little bit more expensive. But even then, if it's curbage, if it's planters, if it's things like that, that still would not rise to the level of requiring a CIP. Many of the projects that would require CIP are likely already identified, like Hooker Hinton, like some of these multi-use paths that we've already identified. Those are already programmed and in the works. And so the larger projects we would be timing. You're looking for partnerships. The nice thing about this is you have the data that then if you are applying for a grant, you can support it. So right now, if we just say, anecdotally, we know there's a lot of people there, or we think there's a lot of traffic crashes there, that is not going to be a high enough bar to be able to compete for some of the grant funding that is available.
Thanks, Ms. Hawk.
Becky.
If I may continue, I mean, I'm a member of the Ad hoc Transportation Committee, along with the mayor and Councilman Rabenbark, and I know all three of us have been advocating as members of that committee for some of these low-cost, paintings, chicanes, all the things that you referenced that would be part of this much larger initiative to be rolled out now with money that we have in the bank from the motor vehicle license fees. I mean, is what I'm hearing from staff that we can't do that without creating this new initiative and adding a bunch of new positions?
So the two positions are specialized that would be able to focus on this work. We don't have anybody on staff right now that has the specialized knowledge in this area that we would be looking for. So we don't have a transportation planner on staff right now that has that knowledge. And so it would be getting them on board to be able to push these projects out. I believe that the conversation previously was to move forward with the projects, but the staff, the positions were not approved. That's difficult to do with the workload that other staff has and not having the specialized expertise to be able to direct this work and get it moving.
So we cannot paint lines on roads with the staff that we currently have.
The issue isn't that we can't paint the lines on roads, it's that we need the work to know where to paint the lines on the road.
I'd be happy to send an email of some lines that could get painted on the road after this. Thanks, Becky.
Yes. The one thing that I've been through this a couple of 3 times, and I do see a little piece about education. When we were in school, and I don't want to go back to what it was like in the old days, but one of the things that was drilled into your brain, because most of us walked to and from at least elementary school or rode our bikes, you walk facing the traffic and you ride with the traffic. Just yesterday, I was on Wrightsville Avenue near the Cape Fear Hospital, and this guy's coming at me, and the street's got, there's been some construction or whatever, and there's been some washouts, and his front wheel could just as easily have turned at the last second. And I want to get out and say, there's a lot of education that needs to be done, and it needs to start in schools, because nobody in this room could honestly look at me and say they hadn't seen what I'm just talking about. People walking with the traffic, they're not watching what's going on behind them, and people riding bikes against it. And the pendulum swings back now with traffic calming devices. We went through this all those years ago when they were in vogue, and then they went out of vogue. And people wanting them to get them out of their neighborhoods, the emergency vehicles didn't like them. And so it looks like we're just going right back to some of the same things we did. A lot of these fatalities, God, I hate it, is streets are made to move cars. And we've got motorized vehicles, I'm not going to call them electric bikes anymore. They're motorized vehicles on our cross-city trail and on sidewalks. They don't make any noise. And now they're out in the street, in our Oleander Drive, all of them, with no helmet, no insurance, no tag, nothing. So we've got a lot to do to achieve zero fatalities, if you will. And, I guess this is a good start, but, I mean, we're kind of like we're jumping in the middle of it. So that's my comments for now. I have some more tomorrow night, because I got caught not knowing that this was here.
Becky.
Thank you.
Becky, I
Mr.
got a
Spears?
question.
Yes, sir.
So I was going to ask this before Councilman Waddell continued what he was saying, and I think he asked some of what I was going to ask. Are we unable to use the money that we've obtained from the license plate fees for any of this? Or are you saying we just need we need specialists to get the job done?
We can use it for all of those purposes, so long as it's a city-owned and maintained street. The technical knowledge that is required to collect the right data, analyze it, and then determine the right treatment for the street. There is a myriad of options that are available to implement depending on the location but it takes a lot of different factors into account. So this would be taking the money that is already coming into the city as a result of the motor vehicle license fee and then getting it out the door on projects.
I want to see it out the door, but I don't know. And I may have missed it. These two positions. What will the pay be for these two positions? Was that in the slide?
No, we would be matching them with the market. I think Clayton already left this morning. He had done some analysis of where they would fit on our pay scale, but I don't have that information in front of me. But it would obviously fit well within the existing dollars that we already have coming in as part of the tag fee.
Oh, okay. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Okay. Thank you, Linda.
Hey, good morning.
Good morning.
Here to give you an update on our traffic calming status at the moment. So we've identified 7 areas for speed humps to be installed. You can see on the map here. These are complementary to the Vision Zero process. As Linda mentioned, that safety wheel of the 5 key elements, these speed humps hit on two of those key elements, being safe speeds. We're trying to generate safe speeds or maintain safe speeds along neighborhood roads. And it also hits on the safe roads portion of the wheel, where we're going to build roads that help incentivize and self-enforce these safe speeds. So it kind of builds upon itself here. So these 7 locations were identified previously. Historically, we've had a lot of call history at these locations, and also primarily at these locations, there's a lack of sidewalks. So as you mentioned, folks walking on the street, face traffic when you're walking the street. I see it all day, every day as well. We selected these locations based on a lot of the call history and the lack of sidewalks. They complement 162 other speed humps that we have in town. Like you mentioned, we've tried this before. There is value in doing what we can to reduce speeds on these neighborhood roads. Here's a little bit of data behind these roads. All of these roads are posted at 25 miles per hour. So you can see in that middle column, 85% of the cars that travel down this road are doing 10 miles an hour over the speed limit. That's a problem. Going back to Vision Zero, having safe people is part of people have to understand that speed affects injuries. So these roads have all been, like I said, historically measured. They always come back above it, with the one exception of being Charter Drive. It's just part of a network there that makes sense to include that one. They're all residential in nature. They all have private, single-family residential driveways on these streets. So even though some of them may look like through streets, it look like they get you from point A to point B a little quicker or shorter or easier, we still have to recognize that this is a neighborhood. It's still a neighborhood. We still need to slow folks down. You still need to be respectful for using this public road through the neighborhood. So we've gone through, preliminarily, we've looked at each of these locations. We've determined where we can put speed humps. You can't just say the road's 1,000 feet long, we're going to put this many. We have to take into account driveways and intersections and other traffic controls that are already existing. So we've got a series of guidelines that help us lay those out. Based on these, it's actually 8 roads. Wallington has as a parallel road, Lancaster, that we've determined that if you're going to do one road, you have to consider all of the other roads in the area, because we've learned that if you put some kind of device on one road, it can incentivize people to try and pick an alternate route to avoid that device. So Lancaster and Wallington are a pair of roads that work out. We've identified about 56 to 57 speed humps that can go on all of these roads. And I think the current estimate to install these speed humps in-house is in the $5,000 range. So we're looking at a total cost here of around $280,000, $300,000 all in to do these locations. Timeline for implementation, we're already into the. So after we get this design, we can reach out to our Public Works Department and see about getting these speed humps installed with internal staff. After they get installed, obviously we go out there and collect more data, see how we're doing, make sure that these devices are working properly. And
Just for, if you don't already have a set number, just take Jeb Stewart and Rogersville Road. How many speed humps for Rogersville?
we've got 13 speed humps going on Rogersville Road between
13 speed humps?
Eastwood Road and Wrightsville Avenue, yes. We're going to place these speed humps, the recommended is less than 500 feet apart. We've kind of set on, let's shoot for 350 feet apart. If you get them too close together, it becomes a problem. If you get them too far
I
apart,
don't know that I've ever seen anywhere where they put that many on a road that short. Have you?
Rogersville's not very short. I don't have the length.
It's a
on that.
mile.
Okay. So over 5,000 feet at 350 feet per, it just adds up.
Okay.
I guess the question I have is, can you go back to that slide with the numbers? Yeah, right there. Burnett Boulevard, the major collector there, I guess that's the street on the backside of Sunset Park. I understand why people are using Burnett more and more is the traffic going into the port from that light at Shipyard is backing up, over a quarter of a mile. And I understand why a lot of people are diverting and going down Burnett to avoid that. Has there been any discussion about a new location going into the port on the north end?
So I do know the port has a project to relocate their entry to the north gate. Currently, the entry to the north gate's on Burnett between Carolina Beach and the columns, I'll say the brick columns, or the entry to the neighborhood. The port is expending millions of dollars to move their entry to Greenfield Street. They're going to install a traffic signal on Greenfield in front and build a new roadway to enter. So it will de-incentivize vehicles that leave the main gate of the port to go up. It'd be smarter for them just to stay on Carolina Beach Road and Front Street from there.
Do you know the timeline on that project?
I do not, no.
Can someone get a number, or can
Sure.
someone contact the port and talk to us about when that project, because I understood that, I know part of the purchase of the properties that the city had there was for this particular project, but it's almost impossible for most of the businesses. You have to go right, and then you have to go all the way up, almost to Shipyard, to be able to get back around. There's no way you can you can make a left, but you're taking your life in your hands there. And then on Burnett, how many traffic calming are you talking about on that one,
We've identified 8 locations for speed humps there.
on Burnett? And you talking about going with a traffic calming table?
Correct, yeah. The city's got a standard for our traffic humps. Instead of it being a 3-foot bump, it's not going to be a bump. It's going to be a 6-foot ramp with a 10-foot platform and then a 6-foot ramp down. So a 6, 10, 6 kind of design. It's our standard design.
Okay.
And the fire department didn't have any problem at all with response time?
The fire department's consulted and they're on board with this pilot program to reinstall speed humps. We have selected roads that are not on their priority routes. Like I mentioned, these are neighborhood roads primarily. So they're on board with pursuing this effort. They're definitely part of the the advisement team on deciding which streets should be eligible for them. We're not going to put these speed humps on St. Andrews or George Anderson or something like that. Will be restricted to neighborhood-type streets.
And Wallington, you've got 1,200, I know that's the cut through from Holly Tree over to Beasley. That's been used for years. How many are you talking?
We've got 6 on Wallington identified and 7 on Lancaster.
It's 7 on Lancaster.
So
But actually, Holly Tree took the play, I mean, Holly Tree took all the heat off of those streets,
theoretically, yes.
theoretically. I mean, what's the traffic count on Wallington, 1,200? What's the traffic count on Holly Tree? That's a huge collector, okay?
It's
I'm not-
yeah.
I understand this is a good thing. It's just, I've seen these speed humps come and go. And they'd haul buggy from one to the next, and it didn't accomplish what the goal was, to slow traffic down. They'd go over it and then take off like a jackrabbit to the next one. Thank you.
And I think, just to comment, I think that's why I was mentioning the spacing is important. If you get them too far apart, it allows them to speed up between them. And it's going to happen. These speed humps are designed not to make folks go 10 miles an hour. They're designed to, if you go 25 miles per hour, it'll be a little uncomfortable, so you're probably going to slow down a little bit, but they're designed to allow traffic to travel at 25 miles per hour.
Well, while we're talking about pedestrian and bike deaths, I'm getting tired of hearing myself ask for it, but the Cross-City Trail along College Road needs some signage, because I haven't gone out and counted them. You take another note. Every time I say this, somebody takes a note, and I never hear any feedback or see any progress. One of my good friend's sons on Eastwood Road just got hit. He was on the Cross-City Trail. Some guy made a big right turn and hit him. It could have been real bad. But I had a hard time with you and your department years ago when we were trying to get 25-mile-an-hour speed signs in some of these neighborhoods, and it was like I was asking for the moon and the star. A damn sign ain't that much, and it can do a lot of good. Get some signage on this College Road and other places where we've got driveway conflicts with traffic coming out of commercial places. And I saw a sign the other day said, I don't know where I was, it was South Carolina. No, it doesn't say electric vehicles or anything, it just says no motorized vehicles allowed. And if an electric bike is not a motorized vehicle, I'll eat my hat. Everybody nods their head and does this, but it's a problem that's just going to get worse until we address it. And I don't know what other municipalities have done, but it's a real problem to have a 13 or a 14-year-old kid blow by you on Oleander Drive in the passing lane doing 30, 35 miles an hour, because I'm doing 30, 35 miles an hour, and he's staying right with me. That's a problem. That ain't a bicycle.
Just a question. I noticed with the data for the streets near UNCW, you collected the data when they were out of season.
Correct.
Do you have any idea what the numbers are during season?
I believe we have some units out on those streets now. But the thing about the data we collect is, even with UNCW out of session, we're going to collect data over weeks, not just one day. So we're going to get a good representation of how the street is being used, in session or not in session. So,
Okay, so these
while it will affect the traffic volumes, the traffic speeds are generally found to be very consistent in session or out of session.
Okay, okay. All right. Thank you.
Anybody else? Okay,
Thank you.
thank you, sir. Becky, is there anything else?
That is it this morning. Thank you.
Okay, with that, we stand adjourned.